Dant Crossing, Gethsemane, Kentucky. Timeless hospitality that stirs the spirit. Dant Crossing is a one-of-a-kind destination for unforgettable weddings, memorable corporate events, day trips, and weekend getaways. The pastoral campus is anchored by Log Still Distillery and includes an amphitheater that seats 2,000, a 12-acre lake for fishing and unique lodging options, creating an immersive experience that's rooted in the community and culture of our little slice of Kentucky. More attractions will open soon at Dant Crossing, including our 21,000 square foot distillery, which we will have the ability to produce 15,000 barrels of spirit each year, a network of wooded walking trails, fully functional private train depot, farm-to-table restaurant, and the Legacy, a premier wedding and events venue. Whether you're looking to host an event, book a stay, or reserve a tasting, we're ready to welcome you. Learn more at dantcrossing.com.
Spirits of French Lick is proud to introduce the Matty Gladden Bottled and Bond Bourbon. This 4-year aged bourbon is double pot distilled and non-chill filtered, and has a full-bodied mouthfeel with eucalyptus, molasses, clove, ginger, and slight citrus, as well as grains of paradise. The finish is long and reappearing on the back of the tongue with notes of pepper, tobacco leaf, and mint green. All of our spirits are available for tasting and purchase inside the French Lick Winery and Distillery. Spirits of French Lick. Respect the grain, please enjoy responsibly, and be sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram.
Welcome to Tiny's under 10-minute tasting of Blanton's.
Oh, show me the way to the next whiskey bar. Oh, don't ask why. Oh, don't ask why. Show me the way to the next whiskey bar. Oh, don't ask why. Oh, don't ask why. For if we don't find the next whiskey bar, I tell you we must die. I tell you we must die. I tell you we must die.
All right. Thank you, Little Steve-O, for the singing of that cover song of the Alabama song, originally done in the 40s by a blues band and then covered by Jim Morrison of the Doors, and then now Steve-O has put it down for us on the Scotchy Bourbon Boys. If you're interested in anything that he does, he has his own album out. Check out www.littlestevo.com. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Tiny's Under 10-Minute Tasting. I'm Tiny of the Scotchy Bourbon Boys. If you want to check out the Scotchy Bourbon Boys, we podcast regularly, and I do this tasting in under 10 minutes. www.scotchybourbonboys.com. Check it out. We have a lot of swag, t-shirts. We also have Glencairns with our logos on it. And I'll take the call from Martin Nash. All right. Hey, Super Nash, you are on Tiny's under 10-minute tasting of Blanton's. You call right in the middle. Can I call you back in like 10 minutes?
You sure can.
But yeah, I will for sure say hi to everybody.
Hello, everybody. And Blanton's is a really good tasting bourbon to me. You know I like it a lot.
I know you love it.
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
It's a good sipper for me.
Yeah, for sure. I
just don't agree with the price point, but that's a different story.
Well, the $65 MSRP, which I've been able to acquire some bottles, isn't bad.
Yeah, and me too. And I've been able to grab a hold of a couple of store pick Blantons here just before Christmas for $60 a piece. So,
there you go.
That's what it is. It's the bourbon game.
All right. I'll call you back in a couple minutes.
Thank you, man.
All right.
Bye.
Love you, brother. Bye. That was Super Nash, another Scotchy Bourbon Boy. But with that said, Remember, the Scotchy Bourbon Boys are on all the podcast formats and all the social media. Check us out on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and also YouTube, which you'll be watching this on. Now, so that brings us to Blanton's. Blanton's was originally Colonel Albert Blanton was the master distiller at the Buffalo Trace, and that's who distills this single barrel bourbon. And he used to throw parties on premise, and he knew that in Warehouse H, that's where the sweet spot in the middle of the floors, he knew about where they were. And when he threw the parties, he'd always pull a barrel out of there and serve it to his guests. So he would tell the rick house manager to go down, get a barrel, bottle it up, and then serve it to his guests. And so as time went on, Elmer T. Lee, who was working there, he used to, with Albert, before Albert Blanton, he used to go down there and get it. Well, when Elmer T. Lee in the early 80s was thinking about that, you know, single barrels were pretty good, but nobody drank single barrels. Consistency was what the industry was looking for. They wanted consistency. And the way to get consistency is mix a bunch of different barrels with similar mash bills and aging time, and then put them together, and you can then produce a bourbon that consistently hits the shelf and tastes similar each batch. So that was something that was very important. It was important to the Beams. It was important to Wild Turkey, you know, the Russells. Everybody wanted that consistency. Well, Elmer T. Lee knew that those cherry-picked barrels were really good. And in 1984, he introduced Blanton's, the first ever single barrel on the market. And with the single barrel, one of the cool things is that every barrel tastes different, and consistency is not something that you expect out of single barrels. So one of the things that happens with Blanton's, and there's a lot of people that search after Blanton's, it's so freaking sought after. It's $65 out the door MSRP, but you're going to see this priced at $200, $300, $400 because it's not so readily available. They go over this single barrels. It's out of Warehouse H. Now this particular bottle is out of Warehouse H, and it is Warehouse H, and it's Rick number 3. It's barrel number 442, and it's 93 proof. Now, with Blanton's, one of the things I found is that, so if you don't get the greatest barrel, Blanton's is okay, and to pay the kind of prices that everybody pays, it's not something that's you want to do, but it's such a phenomenon. One, you get these different toppers. Each one's a different stage in the Kentucky Derby, and each topper the toppers were introduced so that people, if they got an average barrel, they would try to buy another bottle, and they would want a different stage in the Kentucky Derby, the 8 different stages, and you get it. And if you get all the different stages from the bottles, send them into Buffalo Trace. They'll put it on a stave and put all of them across and give you your Blanton stave, and they'll ship it back to you for free. You pay for shipping there, and they'll pay for shipping back. So it's really kind of a cool program, but that keeps you buying the bottle. And one of the things, if you keep buying bottles of Blanton's, is there are some super good barrels. And this one was a good barrel. So tonight we are going to be tasting this particular barrel. And, Harlan Wheatley now is the master distiller. And what he has been focused on, or what he's been charged to oversee, is the expansion of Buffalo Trace. And one of the things that they're doing is they built another still right next to the still they use right now.
and they're going to double their production. But the challenge is to be able to come up with another warehouse age that ages similar to the warehouse age right now, so they can double their production of Blantons. I had him on an earlier podcast, Harlan Wheatley. Check it out. Check that podcast out. Pretty damn cool. It's on YouTube and all podcast formats. He basically says they intend to double their production of Blantons once that still gets up, and they're working on building the warehouses similar to warehouse H in similar situations and whatnot, and we'll see what happens. So let's get to the tasting. Blanton's Buffalo Trace. Harlan Wheatley is the master distiller there. This is a Kentucky straight bourbon, single barrel, 93 proof. It's about $65, and we are about to give this a taste. Now, here on my under 10-minute tasting, I do the standard tasting, nose, taste, body, and finish. I'm tasting in Blanton's Glencairn tonight. Most of these, we have the Scotchy Bourbon Boys Glencairn also here, just, for viewing pleasure. But one of the cool things about a Glencairn is that once you got it in your glass, you definitely can not heat up the bourbon with the cup right down here with the little holder. You look at it, you could tell that that's a rich caramel color. And then one of the cool things about it, you set it on your side if you don't put too much, and I didn't. I like to do this, and you roll it back and forth around. And when you take it up, take a look at how it clings to the glass, and then watch. This is clinging 1, 2, 3 seconds, and then it'll start to form what they call legs, droplets. It's really sticking to this one's a nice body. How long it's been sticking, I'm still not seeing very many legs on this one at the moment, which is wow. There we go. Some nice medium legs, pretty, but this is a pretty, this is how you can tell what the body of the bourbon is, the viscosity of the bourbon, the fat content that's happening in that bourbon. And that's pretty nice. Now, when you nose, Glencairn's perfect. It's a tulip shape, comes up, you can put it up, you take it to your, getting lots of caramel. Standard, a little bit of a melon smell to it. A little bit of, I'm getting a little butterscotch. Now, when you nose, you can put it right on the side here, and that pulls in. But if you get to the top of it and open your mouth, you can get other flavors. You have a dominant nostril. Tonight, my left nostril is the dominant nostril. Just caramel, a little bit of ethanol, some corn, a little bit of melon. All right, now that's what I get off the nose initially. It's always good to taste and then nose it again, because once it's in your glass, it really picks up its nose. Put it in. Wow. I like to dip my tongue, pool the bourbon in my mouth, dip my tongue in the front, get that sensation. A good amount of rye. There's some nice rye in this. Some corn. This is a very nice, silky, creamy bottle. I love this bottle. But not getting a huge finish. I get a little bit of oak. I'm getting caramel, butterscotch, not a lot of spice, minor hug. Let's see what happens on the finish. Vanilla, get a little bit of vanilla. All right, so on the nose, Now, my rating scale is if it's just an average bourbon, it's 50 out of 100. That's average. I'm not a huge, everything's 5,000, 100% kind of thing. I love bourbon. I love all whiskey. But in this case, the scoring on the nose, taste, body, finish is 25 per category. That's what we like to do here. And on this nose, it's average. Now, 12.5 would be super average, but I get a little bit of melon. It's a little bit more complex. So I'm going to give this a 15 on the nose. This bottle's been open and sitting for a while. It is actually, it was dumped on March 30th of 2021. And I get a lot of vanilla, caramel. The taste, the palate is a nice strong point of this. I am going to give it a 20. Now, the body for 93 proof. I've been tasting other bourbons before this, but this has a nice body. The way I judge body is it has nothing to do with taste. You have to eliminate all taste. It's how much the taste fills your mouth, how well it sits in there. And this is a really good body bourbon for 93 proof. This drinks similar to a higher proof bourbon. So I got to give this body, the body, a 23. Now the finish is short to medium, and it's a little bit oaky, but it's still sweet. So I'm not going to penalize it. And what the finish is to me is very important because it's what's left in your mouth. When I'm done drinking at the end of the night and I go upstairs to bed or whatever, what's left in your mouth? It's so important. If you've been drinking all night, you've been drinking this great bourbon with a shitty finish, the way you're going to remember it is what's left in your mouth when you're ready to brush your teeth. There's some bourbons that have such great finishes, you don't want to brush your teeth. So I do like the finish on this. I'm getting a really nice vanilla finish. So I am going to rate the finish a 23 also. So 35, 55, 58, 78, 79, 80, and 81 total. The color on this is definitely a mahogany. And in my little tasting notebook, which I like to keep, and then I also use the whiskey log after I transfer these results in there and put the picture in and everything. So I got a whiskey log, any kind of, it's great. I don't carry this with me everywhere, but I do carry this with me everywhere. So once again, I just gave 81 out of 100. That's gets into a very, very good bourbon. Now, the hype for this, I don't believe that this is a very good bourbon, but 3-4, it's not a great bourbon. That's what you pay 300-400. Everybody always wants Blantons. Anybody who hasn't drank, now this is one of my good bottles. I got another bottle over here, which was from 2020, which is nowhere near as good. And so being a single barrel, it gets a lot more play than people just don't understand. These people that are buying this are new to bourbon, or they just aren't huge bourbon people, and they want a Blanton's, and they think they want a Blanton's, and it just depends on what you get. I know so many people who are like, Blanton's is shit. Well, they only had one bottle. It was a single barrel, and they didn't like it. Well, you got to keep trying it because each barrel's individual, and you can get one of those. And that's what one of these is. I mean, 81, very good bourbon, $65. I have to say that if you can come across a Blanton's at MSRP, pick it up. Absolutely. There's no doubt about it. There's not, even the ones that are lesser, then they don't taste as good, they're still worth the $65, but it's not worth that secondary price. There's no way. I'm not touching that. I'm not doing that. Now, I, Tiny, am a executive professional bourbon steward. That means that I do executive tastings. So if you need to contact me at the Scotchy Bourbon Boys at gmail.com. We can set something up. I do Zoom tastings. I do in-person tastings. I'm in the Ohio area, so you can check me out. Check out the Scotchy Bourbon Boys, www.scotchybourbonboys. Check out our Facebook group. Check out all of our social media. But listen to the podcast. And with that said, remember, good bourbon equals good times and good friends, and go out there and live your life dangerously. Good night, everybody.
Oh, show me the way to the next whiskey bar. Oh, don't ask why. Oh, don't ask why. Show me the way to the next whiskey bar. Oh, don't ask why. Oh, don't ask why. For if we don't find the next whiskey bar, I tell you we must die. I tell you we must die. I tell you we must die.
The watershed story. A watershed moment might be pivotal, but it might also be quiet and fleeting. It could be a monumentous occasion, a cause for celebration, an enormous triumph, or a small daily victory. A watershed moment could be a rekindling or an observation or a gathering. Any opportunity to relish with friends and family. It's whatever you choose to cheers to, who you're gathered around, and whatever's worth celebrating. We founded Watershed Distillery on the principles of community in 2010. We wanted to live in, work in, and contribute to the community in which we grew up. We aimed to create spirits and stood apart in quality and character. Along the way, we set out to form a community of our own, one that could gather together to savor, celebrate, and enjoy good spirits and company. We've grown from a tiny little still and 2 guys in jumpsuits to a dedicated team of over 40 people and 2 much larger stills. If you're ever in the area, stop by so we can introduce you to our team and pour you some of our award-winning bourbon. Creating it was our watershed moment, but we want to hear about yours.